What's up, you guys? It's your girl, Queen Talks Crime. I am back with another video. Shout out to all my old and new subscribers, my moderators, and my members. Today, we are going to be discussing Emmett Till. His case was recently closed after 66 years trying to get justice. Emmett Till, he was born July 25th, 1941 in Chicago, Illinois. He died August the 28th, 1955, age 14. Till was born to working-class parents on the south side of Chicago. When he was barely 14 years old, Till took a trip to rural Mississippi to spend the summer with relatives. He had been warned by his mother, who knew him to be a jokester, accustomed to being the center of attention, that whites in the South could react violently to behavior that was tolerated in the North. This animosity was exacerbated by the U.S. Supreme Court's 1954 decision, which overturned the separate but equal doctrine established that allowed racial segregation in public facilities. Till arrived in Money, Mississippi on August 21st, 1955. He stayed with his great-uncle, Moses Wright, who was a sharecropper, and he spent his days helping with the cotton harvest. On August 24th, Till and a group of other teens went to a local grocery store after a day of working in the fields. Accounts of what transpired thereafter vary. Some witnesses stated that one of the other boys dared Till to talk to the store's cashier, Carol Bryant, a white woman. It was reported that Till then whistled at, touched the hand or waist of, or flirted with the woman as he was leaving the store. Whatever the truth, Till did not mention the incident to his great-uncle. In the early morning hours of August the 28th, Roy Bryant, the cashier's husband, and J.W. Millam, Bryant's half-brother, forced their way into Wright's home and abducted Till at gunpoint. Bryant and Millam severely beat the boy, gouging out one of his eyes. They took him to the banks of the Tallahatchie River, where they killed him with a single gunshot to the head. The two men tied the teen's body to a large metal fan with a length of barbed wire before dumping the corpse into the river. Wright reported the kidnapping to the police, and Bryant and Millam were arrested the following day. On August the 31st, 1955, Till's corpse was discovered in the river. His face unrecognizable as a result of the assault, and positive identification was possible only because Till was wearing a monogrammed ring that had belonged to his father. On September the 2nd, less than 2 weeks after Till had embarked on his journey south, the train bearing his remains arrived in Chicago. Till's mother kept her son's casket open, choosing to reveal to the tens of thousands who attended the funeral the brutality that had been visited on her son. The appalling images of Till's body in the casket appeared in the pages of Jet magazine and the Chicago Defender, and his murder became a rallying point for the civil rights movement. The trial of Till's killers began on September 19th, 1955. And from the witness stand, Wright identified the men who had kidnapped Till. After 4 days of testimony and a little more than an hour of deliberation, an all-white, all-male jury. At the time, blacks and women were not allowed to serve as jurors in Mississippi. They acquitted Bryant and Millam of all charges, protected from further prosecution by double jeopardy statutes. The pair was paid for the story and interviewed by their lawyer and a journalist in 1956 article for Look magazine, in which they related the circumstances of Till's kidnapping and murder. In 2004, the FBI reopened the case. Although Bryant and Millen were long dead, agents sought to obtain a conclusive account of Till's final hours. The 3-year investigation, during which Till's body was exhumed for a complete autopsy, did not lead to the filing of criminal charges, but it did uncover a deathbed confession by Millen's brother Leslie, who admitted his own involvement in the kidnapping and murder. After the exhumation, Till's body was reburied in a new casket, and the original was placed in storage at Burr Oak Cemetery in Alsop, Illinois, pending the creation of a planned memorial on the site. In 2009, a scandal involving the reselling of grave plots led police to investigate the cemetery, and they discovered Till's original casket rusting and abandoned in a work shed on the outskirts of the property. Later that year, the casket was donated to the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture. A couple of things I want to say really quick before I complete the video. Mamie Till, she had to fight hard, okay, to get Emmett brought back to Chicago. She had to fight to get him transferred back to Chicago where she could bury her son. The sheriffs in Mississippi, when they found Emmett Till, they wanted to bury him before sundown that day. Immediately, he wanted him buried. Why he wanted him buried? He didn't want no one to see what was done to Emmett Till. He wanted to cover up and hide the brutality of the murder of Emmett Till. Mamie Till, being the strong, beautiful mother and black woman she is, she got on that phone. She phoned every person she could, governors, all type of leaders. They got the word out. Emmett's murder was all in the newspapers, and it went up to the president, and they stopped the sheriff from burying Till, and they had to bring him home to Chicago. Once Till was brought back to Chicago, Mamie still fought. Millen and Bryant, they did, like I said earlier, got arrested. Found not guilty. Found not guilty of the murder of Emmett Till by an all-white jury. All-male white jury. And I wanted to state that all of it is foul. But I also really want to point out, y'all, that this goes back to cover-ups even then. In 1955 was real. So we still have cover-ups in 2021. 1955, 2021, we still have people in law enforcement at the top. It's all about power, money, who you know. So cases these days, depending on who the victim is, depending on who's the perpetrator, will determine a lot about a cover up. And I want you to see that they tried to cover up his murder, Emmett Till's murder in 1955, and we're still fighting for justice, equality in 2021, even in the deaths of our people. We're still fighting for justice because we're still facing cover-ups. People want to hide brutality, murder, because of who they know in law enforcement. Aubrey case, for example, is who they knew, money and power. That's not the only case. There are more. So I really want y'all to see everything, not just the racism and the brutality, but that they wanted to cover it up. They didn't even want to make it right. Arrest the people for murdering him. And in these days, the minorities are still looked at as less than, as nothing. Are we still in 2021 not worth getting fair justice even in our death? In 2021, are we still looked at as less than, where you don't even want to give us, you don't want to be fair in life, and you don't even want to be fair even after death? So with that being said, they recently closed Emmett Till's case of 66 years. They recently opened it though. They recently reopened it in 2004, and now it's closed due to no new evidence recovered. And also, there was a book written. There was a book written, and in that book, it came out. It came out that Miss Bryant, the woman who accused Emmett of whistling or touching or making advances, whichever one she said, because they vary, she recanted and said that Emmett Till did not physically rape her. He didn't physically touch her. There was a guy that wrote a book and said she confessed. Well, when the case was reopened and FBI, law enforcement, talked to her, her and her daughter denied that she ever recanted what she said to law enforcement about Emmett Till. So with no new evidence, without her testimony, they cannot file perjury charges for Miss Bryant. And the two murderers are deceased. And one of the brothers, Leslie, of the murderers, on his deathbed, admitted his involvement. So he's no longer here. So they closed the case. So yes, the family, they're saddened. They understand. They knew. They weren't surprised. They're saddened. And Miss Bryant says she's glad this is over. And Emmett Till's family wants to end with this. Vengeance is the Lord. Even though they did not see a man get convicted or the accuser get convicted or charged in justice physically in this life, they believe that the murderers and the accusers did suffer. Miss Bryant suffered. She lost a son. And they feel that she suffered the same feelings and heartache that Mammy felt losing her son. So they said, maybe not in this life, and they do feel that they did have some suffer, heartache, and pain in this life, but they will have to go before the Creator, and they will have to pay, and His vengeance is greater. Thank y'all for watching. Like, share, subscribe, comment down below. I love you guys. Justice for Emmett Till. Your girl Queen is out. Peace.